No. So good to be here. It's been a kind of a breathing, this Sangha, this time that we put aside to spend together, whether on Zoom or in person, has gone through many iterations recently because the space that's fabulous has been being created. So now this is the first day that we're in it, and it's wonderful. The invocation that I did was the invitation to come home to our hearts. The correlation between who I am as awake awareness and the heart space that we use, that we designate as a chakra and an energy field, is there's a correlation there. And so when we Yara was just reminding me today of a meditation from R.J. Spina of putting two fingers on the physical, on their chest, that correlates with the physical heart, to remind us of this position of this heart chakra, which is actually the opening into a field that is eternal, and it is who we are. And so any of these things that can help remind us of the vastness and the power of creation that is accessed through the awareness that is our heart is very potent right now, I think. We've been working in this group and in the other groups, that meet here on Maui, on clearing out what obscures or obfuscates our heart experience from our wounded experience. So it's going from an identity that was installed with an early conclusion about ourselves that has been what I call a distortion lens that then creates our reality. And so as we've been clearing that lens of distortion, it's as if we are reclaiming our attention particles out of that projection and bringing them back to our own heart on our own behalf. The awakening process is a process of coming home to our hearts, to coming home to the garden. This is the place of the origination of the oneness that we deeply intuit now is possible, but which got lost along the way of the incarnation of the experience of a 3D projected reality. All of the different ways we can talk about that. But the garden is alive and well, and it's in us. But we've been externally referenced. We've had our attention particles caught up in an external that demands our attention, and it informs us of things that impact us. So it's a two-way street. We put our attention out there, and then it says to us, oh, well, you sure didn't do that right. Or how did you mess that up? Or whatever it says. And so now we're caught up in a no man's land of projected external reality, when in fact our opportunity here is to live from the power of our creative nature, our heart, which then arises out here as what we might call the garden. And the experience of connection to that, the experience of the oneness with that. And this, in this garden state, at that point, we are reliant not on the rational analytic mind, but we come home to the wisdom of the heart. And so instead of trying to figure things out and the need to control them, once we've figured them out, we are allowing, we are, I always say, everything we needed to know we could have learned from the Beatles. Love is all there is, and let it be. Right. Yeah. So now we're allowing it to show up without an idea that it's a problem for us, because who we are has been reestablished as this presence, as this aliveness, as this love. It's like a field. It is the garden, which is an amazing, that this time and the cycle of what we would call history, which is non-existent, but we still like to play there. what we call history has taken us from the separation out of our hearts and into our rationalistic minds, so that the garden, then we were kicked out of the heavenly garden, right? And we've been talking in some sessions about the flaming swords that keep us caught in our mind and out of our hearts, which those flaming swords are our self-judgment, right? Because the minute that those have fallen away, we're already back with ourselves. We're in our own heart on our own behalf. So the opportunity now is in allowing ourselves to see clearly that we've been caught in something that's not true. And even a little bit of that awareness can open us into coming home, to being on our own behalf. And that's coming back to the heart. And that's where what we have been deprived of because of our own self-judgment is the experience of connection and the experience of the love that we are, that we share with apparent others. We love having, in quotes, others around, because then we get to play, and then we get to have the mirror of love that we can offer to each other. But that mirror of love that we can offer to each other is not available for any of us until we've done a lot of work on clearing our self-judgment. Is this making sense to everybody? Yeah, it's such a, I think we're at this intersection that I'm pointing to now in our Sangha here, and the other groups that are part of this larger Sangha, that we are, now we have the opportunity to realize that what we are literally coming from, we are now opening it up so that all of reality is seen through, not a distortion field, but through the lens of love that is our true nature. So we're returning to the garden, and the possibility there is totally unknown in this collective fear-based reality. We don't need to know it, but we do trust it. It's just like we don't need to know who I am without my wounded conclusion, but I know it's better than the wounded conclusion, right? It's better than the one, I'm not good enough, I don't matter. Whatever this love is that I deeply know I am, certainly does not partake of judgment or criticism. All of that comes from what we would call the right brain's need to control, the right brain's seeing through a distortion field that there's a way that it should be and it's not that way, and it's somebody's fault, and I'd better get them straightened out because this needs correction. You see, we're caught up now. You can feel it in that little quote. You can feel how we're caught up with our attention in the external, looking like the thing that's not right is causing me a problem. The person who's said it wrong, I need to correct that. So we get pulled into the reality that was created through the distortion field, which fundamentally what that is it's my early conclusion about myself. I'm not good enough, or I don't matter, writ large, as a reality. Initially, when we have that experience, we're usually maybe in the crib or in the infant seat or all these other things that they do with babies now that I don't know about. But we're looking at a place all of a sudden, you know, incarnation, and then all of a sudden we're in the midst of this shit show called a family, right? And so now that we came in just with the love and the probably a little spark of hope that this incarnation I can express fully. I can come home into a 3D reality that partakes of love. But there we are participating now in a situation that has judgment and criticism at the heart of it. So at that point, our attention goes from our own heart in this welling up of the incarnational possibility, the feeling of being included, of being loved, of being connected to with the incarnation into this family. And now this family is caught up in frequencies that don't feel like love. For sure, they don't feel like love. And now you're caught in a place of, I don't know what the hell's going on here. It doesn't feel good to me. And so your attention is out now. And now you begin to start to try to figure out one aspect of most everybody's early wounding is there's something I need to know and I can't know it. And that's what creates the underpinning of fear. There already is an underpinning of fear in this reality, but that's specific to the experience in the early in the incarnation, I should say. And so now our attention particles are out, and we will call upon whatever our attributes, say, whatever our gifts, our talents. Maybe you have a talent for being cheerful, or you have a talent for alertness. You can see what's going on, but we'll begin to use all of those on behalf of not experience what we concluded when we came to in this 3D reality with this thing going on that didn't feel good. And we believed that it meant something about us. This is the origin story of the childhood wound. This is the origin story of an identity that's been running the show for nearly everybody on this planet for however many years they've been incarnated. Is this making sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. We've gone over this material before, but every time we do it, you're in a different place of your own awakening from which you can see it. That's what I am assuming. So if there are any questions about this so far, maybe it's a place to open up the conversation, either on Zoom or in the room. Is that me?